Good morning and welcome back for another tutorial on Chinese brushstroke painting. Today we have some people to imitate. You can see by looking at this worksheet that the people look pretty outrageous, slightly egg-headed and just comical. I mean, this guy is pretty weird looking. These are like faceless. They don't have eyes, you know, they have buns. Pretty stereotypical. But over here we have an elderly, cloaked guy picking some fruit. Down here we have some figures that are more so in the distance of a painting. They're not up close figures, so you would use these characters in that way. They'd be in the background. But we're gonna just demonstrate a couple. I think this one is the most fun out of all of them. I'm not really a people painter, but I am gonna demonstrate this guy. You can see here, I did create him once already, but he's a little short. He's a little bit disproportional. He's also like very edgy right here. He's got a really weird jaw. So I'm gonna try him again and go from there. All right, so what I'm gonna start with is my yellow paint. I'm gonna add some yellow with a little bit of brown to create a natural skin tone. Running low on the yellow, but we're gonna make do. I'm then gonna add some water to this so that I can really dilute the ink so it's not super dark when I apply it. This one was a little bit darker. Not that that matters, but you know, just for the sake. This is a Chinese man. He's got some fair skin. All right, so we're gonna start with a long stroke from the left to the right. I start with a point, I press down, and I just kind of glide. Off of it, I can see a nose over here. This doesn't give you any step-by-step now, any direction. It just really shows you that this is where we're at. You know, we have the concept. So I'm going to start with a point. I'm going to press down. I'm going to extend it out so that I have that shape. This is the eye on this side of it. This is where the other eye is going to go. Okay, under it, I'm going to put a little dash for the skin patch in between the mouth. And then over here, I'm going to create more of the shape to the nose. So I just added a little bit of a dash. And if I zoom in on here, you guys can kind of see that little dash. Okay, now off of it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a shape that's more triangular right in here for the cheekbone. So I'm going to just start with an edge. I swipe to the side, and then I'm going to just have it extend down like this. I'm going to then come back up and create that triangular shape. Now I leave an opening for the eye right in here, but I'm going to filter this in. So I just swipe again and swipe. Now we can see this is two-toned. This is dry, this is not dry. We're going to end up touching this up so that it becomes one tone. It doesn't have that streak appearance, but right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just paint in an ear shape, and then off of it I'm going to create the neck, so, and the throat. So I start with a dash. I'm going to swipe to my right like this again, and I'm going to just come down like this for the neck. Okay, this is where the hair is. He's like really looking up at the fruit that he's picking, so we're going to just leave that open for right now, and I'm just going to edge this off this way. Okay, one last little line for the chin, but he does have some facial hair, so we're going to add that in afterwards too. Now I'm going to make the cloak a blue, just because in my last demo I kind of left it white, but just kind of all boring to me. So I'm going to just zoom out for a moment and see, this is where we're going to start to create the cloak. start to the cloak. So I'm gonna just start here. I'm then going to make a round shape right here for his upper shoulder and arm. Put a couple wrinkle lines in there for the detail of the shirt. Have that edge out here and get a little bit wider. And there's my arm. Okay, I'm gonna just go over this area again because there's a little bit of a shadow in the picture. This became like a bluish green, but there's that. Okay, now over here on this side, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna come down and again imitate this shape over here. I'm gonna leave a little bit of room though for the hair because I'm gonna have him have some bearded hair. So right here, I'm gonna just create that line, and under it, what I'm now gonna do is I'm gonna just split right where the throat and this cloak opens up. So like right in the middle, I'm actually looking at, I mean, this is a tricky thing because you're just going off of your instinct. Doesn't really show you step by step, but I'm gonna leave that like that. I'm gonna leave this open for the hand. Kind of come up like that. It's a slight divide, like that's the opening of his jacket. This is gonna be where the throat connects here. And that's where his jacket splits right down the middle. He's also wearing pants. So we're gonna change the color, get a little bit more blue. And you know what, I'm not gonna give him jeans, I'm gonna make him have some black pants. Alright, so you can see that was my line for his leg. And then I have this line right here. Kind of just splits, that's what it shows in this. I'm looking at it, that's the line that I just made. I made it a little bit wide, but that's what we're looking at. Okay, now I clear my brush off. And we're gonna make some details for the hands. We're gonna go back in, edge out some eyes. So again, I add some yellow, some brown. Weird thumb that I just made, but skin color didn't really match the head, so I had to go back in, add a little bit more brown. Okay, now what I can do is I can kind of just filter that in. Okay, there's his hand. Now on this side, what we're gonna do is paint an arm reaching up. So I just press down with my brush and swipe it like that. I'm gonna add in a little bit more of the cloak, kind of wisping down, hanging here, but I needed that shape before I could really eyeball the coat. I'm gonna open up the hand with a large thumb shape. It's more ovular, more round, so I just did that, and then just have it come back this way. It's just doing each stroke for each shape, like doing it one at a time. It looks like a weird thumb, but it's looking like he is palming, he's opening up his hand so that the fruit can sit there. So this whole area is really going to be fruit, and I'm going to end up going in with the fruit before I can really filter the hand. But I'm just making some markings for myself so that I can gauge where I want the fruit to stop, and also how he's holding it. So you can see I just created some round fingertips. Right now this video needs to be less than 5 more minutes, so I'm going to try to expedite this so that I can get 15 minutes onto YouTube without 2 videos. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a orangish fruit, and we're just going to paint that in. We need this to ultimately dry, so I'm being careful as I'm painting around it like that. Okay, he also has a basket below him, so oops. So I'm gonna slide this down and create some more shapes inside the basket. I do 1, 2, filter that in. Here's another one. In all different directions. These fruit pieces. Maybe I give him a red apple rather than just all the same kind of fruit. Directional painting is important. You can see they're not all facing the same shape. I'm sorry, they're not all facing the same way. They're all different shapes. There might be at the bottom just a piece of fruit that fell out of the basket. Oh, right down here we can see it's a stray from the rest of it. That was a little bit bright. I kind of like the other one better. Maybe we'll just deduct that from the scene. Anyway, we have that. Now off of it, we're gonna paint in the basket. I'm at 12 minutes and 50 seconds, so I'm trying. I'm gonna add some black and brown together so I make a unique brown. You can see right here, this is where I'm gonna start, the edge of the basket. You can see that's where the basket is splitting. I'm having a handle right here. Made it a little unproportional, but it's not about it being perfect. It's about practicing it in case you want to make this man for your final. Okay, so we can see he's just tugging that basket. Maybe it's heavy. I'm adding in some rope. Not a great basket. Not very happy with it because of the shape. But instead of giving up, I'm just gonna continue. Maybe it'll end up turning out the way that I want it to down the line. Okay, now off of it, we're gonna make a little bit edge down here. paint in some horizontal lines. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back in up top here. I'm gonna give him some hair. I'm gonna also paint in his eyes. So I'm gonna use some black.